What's happening, everybody? Jay Shockblast here, and check it out. Had a really cool idea for a video, and I decided to go ahead and rock it. The concept is, as you can see in the picture above, one of my friends, Rich, on one of my friends on Facebook, he was my brother's roommate for a while, and a really cool dude, posted this and tagged me in it. And it was if members of the Marvel Universe were able to have a lantern ring, who would have which ring? So I mean I don't know if that's the verbatim of what it is. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But basically, if you could make anybody in the Marvel Universe a lantern, who would get which ring? So as we all know, there are a bunch of different rings in the Marvel or the DC Comics universe. There's, the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan here, obviously has Willpower. Then there's Atrocitus, who has the red ring, which is Rage. You have Saint Walker, who is the Blue Lantern, and that is Hope. I can't find him, but there's Star Sapphire, Carol Ferris, who is Love. They're just called the Star Sapphires. They're not like the pink lanterns. She's Love. There is also, of course, I think Sinestro is under S. There he is. There's Sinestro, who is the Yellow Lantern, which is Fear. Then we also have... where's Indigo? Well, alright, we'll do this one while we're here. Kyle Rayner is the White Lantern right here. White Lantern represents life. And then, of course, the Black Lantern, which is... there really isn't a Black Lantern here, but Black Hand eventually is a Black Lantern, and that is Death. Then we have, where's Indigo? Knock. So this is Compassion. And then, of course, we have Larfleeze, which is Avarice, the Orange Lanterns. And I think that's all. I think I got all of them. Rage, which is red. Blue, which is Hope. Orange, Avarice. Green, Will. Purple, Compassion. Pinkish, Love. Yellow, Fear. White, Life. And Black, Death. So that is the concept. We are going to basically do this where we are going to give lantern rings to characters in the Marvel Universe. Now, my theory or the concept for how I'm doing it is we are going to give a ring to a good guy and a bad guy. And I've been sitting on this video for a little bit. I teased it on Twitter, earlier in the week. I've been sitting on it because I've had the whole thing done where I had a good guy and a bad guy for every single one. I just couldn't think of one ring, and that was a bad guy for Hope. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and do this in Brightest Day and Blackest Night. Let's go ahead and give out the rings. Alright, so first up, since the Green Lantern is the most popular of the lanterns, we're going to go ahead and start off with Willpower, the Green Lanterns. And obviously the Green Lanterns are the most popular of the Lantern Corps. And their emotion, the emotional spectrum they represent is Willpower. And I can't think of anybody in the Marvel Universe that embodies willpower more than Spider-Man. Peter Parker is just the ultimate underdog. He is going to fight through anything, and he just has that willpower that you would think of when you think of Hal Jordan. Just never give up, never say die, just great attitude. He is going to do anything and everything he can to save the day. More so than pretty much anybody I can think of. I mean, everybody has their thing, but I really feel like Spider-Man is the perfect representation of Willpower in the Marvel Universe as a good guy. As a villain, Willpower is a little bit different, but Doctor Doom has a ton of willpower. Like Spider-Man, he does not give up. He goes after everything that he wants, and he just has the will to survive, the will to get where he wants to be. At one point he was the God Emperor of the world. He saw the way things were going, and he did what he had to do to put himself in a position to rule the world, and he did. So, and it's not just because he wears green, but if a villain had to hold a green ring, my money is on Doctor Doom. So that is Willpower, folks. Let's move on to our next ring. Alright, so the next ring that we are going to look at is the Yellow Ring of Fear. And a perfect member of the Sinestro Corps for the quote-unquote heroes of the Marvel Universe would be Mr. Frank Castle. I cannot think of any character in the Marvel Universe that is going to impose more fear upon people than Frank Castle. I mean, I guess there's Hulk, but he's kind of got an obvious one on lockdown. So yeah, man, this is the face of fear, pretty much for good guys and bad guys. If you are not on Frank Castle's good side, the Punisher, you are in some trouble. So I could see, kind of like if you think about it, Batman, when they had to deputize rings out, Batman ended up with a yellow ring because he's, the face of fear in a lot of ways. Whoa. So, yeah, man, Frank Castle, the Punisher, as fear. I mean, you definitely had to fear him in the Netflix series, that's for sure. Now, on the bad guy side, the villains, my choice for the Yellow Lantern is Carnage. Carnage is an absolute psychopath, like unlike any other, and he is just insane. And he lives for murdering and putting people in fear. So for me, he was pretty much the obvious choice when it comes to doing fear. He would fit in quite well, and just he loves instilling fear into the hearts and minds of anybody that's involved. So my Yellow Lantern from the Marvel Universe, the Punisher, and Carnage. So let's move on to our next one. All right, and for our next ring, we are going to do Love, the Ring of the Star Sapphires. It's kind of a pink ring, but they call it the Star Sapphires. And I can't think of a Marvel hero that is the embodiment of love more so than Groot. I am Groot. So if you think about it, let's think about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and just the way he loves everybody and is willing to sacrifice himself. It's one of the most selfless things I've ever seen in a movie, Marvel or otherwise. The way that Groot kind of like encapsulates himself around his friends to make sure they survive, kind of sacrificing himself. And we see the love he has for Rocket Raccoon in the comics. So Groot is such a loving character. You're very sympathetic of him, and I just couldn't think of a perfect example. Now for the villains, we have the Enchantress, who is the god of love, I believe. I don't really follow Norse mythology too much, but the Enchantress has this undying love for Thor, and that is something that is a theme constantly throughout the history of Thor. Amora is actually her name, and she's she is obsessed with Thor, and love is a big theme of her story. Yeah, she tried to steal Thor from Jane Foster, and you know, the rest is history. So I can't think of many that are going to personify love more than the Enchantress on the villain side of things. So there we go. Let us move on now to our next string. Alright, so next up we are giving out the Red Rage Ring of Doom, my favorite. And for the heroes, look, there is absolutely no doubt in this world that the personification of rage in the Marvel Universe is Hulk. That is right, the Incredible Hulk. He is just pure rage personified. Give him a red ring and he will be even more unstoppable than he already is. This is probably the biggest no-brainer in the history of the rings. Actually, that's not true. The Hero for Hope obviously is probably a close 1A, 1B, or maybe even a close second. I'm not sure. But Hulk representing rage would be perfect. Obvious. You know? Except if you throw a chicken in there, then he might, you know, get less angry. So, that is that. But who are we picking to represent the villains? And we're going with Red Hulk. Now, Red Hulk is not always a bad guy per se, but he is a bad dude. And, you know, there was a point in time where he was, you know, or still possibly is, the mortal enemy of Bruce Banner. He is as bad a dude as you're gonna get. And I just totally... Can he jump out of the water? No. You know, where Hulk has the rage, Red Hulk matches him. It's pretty obvious that, you know, the two Hulks, Red Hulk and regular Hulk, are going to be representing rage in this ring affair. This is a lot of anger issues right here. Hulk and Red Hulk. So Atrocitus has the two warriors that would probably end the galaxy, with Hulk and Red Hulk as his Red Lanterns. So let's move on to the next ring. Alright, here we go. The next ring in our little contest here goes out to Professor X, and he will be getting becoming a member of the Indigo warrior tribe. That is right, Indigo is the color of compassion. And I can't think of a more compassionate man in the Marvel Universe. Whether you are mutant or just a normal human being, Professor X had your back. Charles Xavier wanted to love everybody. He wanted everybody to be peaceful together. And the compassion he shows for his fellow mutants is even more amazing. I don't think it really takes much argument to think that our ring for compassion on the hero side of the Marvel Universe will go to Professor X. Now, ironically, I have the ring for the villains going to Magneto, who at times has been a hero, and also has compassion in his own way. Now, his compassion is more directed towards the villains of his world, for the most part. He always has his own little thing that's going on, and you know, Magneto he cares for mutants, and if you're a mutant, that's great. If you're not, well, you know, I would be careful around metal objects. So compassion wraps up as Professor X and Magneto. So, moving on to our next ring. For our next ring, this is one of the most obvious. It is the Blue Lantern Corps and Hope. And I can't think of a character in the Marvel Universe that personifies Hope more than Captain America. Now, I think you could probably lump him into Willpower as well, but Cap is the embodiment of hope, and is a big reason, and that's a big reason why his Hail Hydra turn crap was so shocking, because, you know, this is the beacon of hope. This is the character that everybody looks to, that's going to take them, you know, out and keep them motivated. And it's really just so obvious. And it's just crazy to me that, like, I really don't like the idea of him, anything about him being anything but pure. That's what I've always loved about Captain America, is he just always has that pureness to him. So now what was extremely hard, though, is finding a villain that kind of personifies hope, and trying not to reuse villains. Now, there was a couple times where I thought maybe Doctor Doom, but I thought he filled more into Willpower. So, I don't know, this might be a stretch, but for my villainous hope, Blue Lantern, I went with Ultron. Now, Ultron obviously is an AI and doesn't necessarily... I mean, he's sentient AI, and he doesn't necessarily understand completely what he's doing, but he does have, especially in the movie, a hope for a new world, and he hopes to kind of cure the Earthlings of their sins, and by eradicating him, he hopes to create a better world. So that's really the closest I could come with hope. And trust me, this video got delayed probably about a week just because of this one option. Now, I wasn't necessarily trying to pick characters that were, in the game. Obviously, I used another character. I already have one character that wasn't in the game that I used. So, but yeah, that's what I got for hope. And let's move on to our next ring. Alright, so our next ring is the Orange Lantern Ring of Avarice. And for our heroes, a bit of a stretch. Taskmaster is my choice for Avarice, because he's a mercenary and he will go to anybody for pretty much any price. It's very rare. I mean, he had his moments where he's been a good guy, and you know, where he does show some morals, but for the most part, he's going to bail on you, and he's going to go after the highest bidder. I thought about Iron Man here, but Iron Man he's not really greedy per se. He does have a lot of morals and ethics of his own, but, you know, I kind of felt like Taskmaster. This was actually probably the second hardest one. A greedy good guy. I guess maybe you could do like Ant-Man Hank Pym, because he's always trying to, you know, go with his next best invention and whatever, and that's created some bad things, Ultron. So, but if this one was a little hard, I could tell you what the easiest one, right up there with Captain America as Hope, is Loki, the Orange Lantern. I can't think of many more people that represent greed more than Loki. He's the god of mischief. He wants everything his way, and he wants to rule Asgard. He wants to rule Earth. He wants to rule everything. And, you know, that is the epitome of avarice and greed to me, is Loki. I guess theoretically Doctor Doom would have fit in here as well, in a lot of ways, but I used him with Willpower because he's got a little bit of extra. Loki is a little more cowardly, and I think of people that are greedy and with avarice, like Larfleeze especially, as being a little greedy and cowardly. So that is my Orange Lantern. Let's go ahead and wrap up with our last two. Alright, we are getting close to the end here, and for our next ring, we have Life, the White Lanterns. Now, the White Lanterns were created at the end of Blackest Night, and, you know, basically Hal Jordan ended up becoming the first White Lantern. All the superheroes that were dead that came back to life came back to life with White Lantern rings. I know the Flash, and Superman, and Wonder Woman, and Hawkman. Maybe it was Hawkgirl. Aquaman. Like, a lot of these characters died during the Blackest Night and beforehand, and came back to life as White Lanterns. And Hal Jordan was kind of at the center of it all. So for life, you kind of have to think of Jean Grey as being a representative of life. Whether it's with the Phoenix Force or not, definitely. Just a classic example of it. And then on the villain side, that was a tough one. And let me take that back. The villain side was actually really easy. Apocalypse. Though what isn't easy is I don't have anything that we can use of him in a video game. So if you think about it, Apocalypse, as awful as he is, his goal is to give life to the mutant population, and to really make them the next the only race on Earth. So when you think about villains, they're not typically into the whole living thing. They're murderous thieves and the like. So it made sense for me to go with Apocalypse, and unfortunately we just don't have a video of him. So that's him in the picture. Let's go on to our last ring, and I'm actually going to keep it right in this video. Our last ring is going to be the Black Lanterns, and there are two characters that completely come to mind when it comes down to the Black Lanterns. And for our good guys, our heroes, if you will, we are looking for... Why can't I find him? There he is. Ghost Rider. So, Ghost Rider is death personified in the heroes. He's got his penance stare. He judges the living, and he can judge them guilty. And, I thought about using Deadpool here because he does have a relationship and infatuation with Lady Death herself. But I felt like Ghost Rider was the perfect choice. So Ghost Rider is the hero version of Death. Now, for the villains, obviously if I was thinking about Deadpool, I have to think about Thanos as our villain for Death. Now, he also has an infatuation with Lady Death. He is often seen speaking with her. And if you read Thanos Rising, you know that she is the one that basically set him on the path that he would ultimately be on. So, Thanos is the infatuation of, or the, embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe. And if you actually think about it, they've even accentuated that recently with the launch of the new Civil War. Spoiler alert, skip ahead about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, if you haven't read Civil War #1 or the lead up to it. Thanos kills War Machine and She-Hulk. So he's killed many before. I mean, he wielded the Infinity Gauntlet. So there you go. That is Death, Life and Death, the two final Lantern rings. So I hope you guys enjoyed the concept of this video. I mean, if I'm going to use Lego Marvel superheroes, I need to use Deadpool because, geez, we know other games aren't going to let me do it. But hey, I had to get that out of my system. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you guys think. What is your list of Marvel characters that could wield DC Comics Lantern rings? If you just want to think of one for each, that's cool. You can also do, one hero, one villain. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, is one hero, one villain. But, you know, if you just want to try doing one of each, that's cool too. I'd love to know what you guys think. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and we'll see you.